Big ups. If you want to find out if we're not on a spinning ball, I'd say most people here say you can find that out.
Space shuttle question. The longest space shuttle mission was the STS-80 in 1996. It lasted 17 days and 15 hours and 53 minutes. So 17 and a half days. Space shuttle went up on a rocket. It came down 17 and a half days later.
Yo, what's it feel like knowing the most useless information?
He didn't even know it. He just found it on like.
I got ChatGPT. Maybe you don't got it. But that's in the record. So in this scenario, 1996, when they launched the shuttle, the astronauts disappeared for 17 and a half days, and then they came back in the shuttle. They landed on the tarmac. They glided in. Where were they for 17 and a half days, you suppose?
In the air.
They were in the air?
Well, have you ever seen when in magic tricks where they have someone disappear? So where did they go?
Yo, where'd the rabbit go?
Dr. Evil's volcano.
Where'd the rabbit come from? Where'd the fucking rabbit come from, bro? At the magic circus.
Yeah, but I think his point is that the public saw the launch and the landing.
Well, he saw them launch in a rocket. There was a mama rabbit and a daddy rabbit. Once upon a time, he said.
So we saw the. So how did they do that magic trick then?
Go ahead. The guys that said it was magic. Come on.
Oh, it's magic? Yeah, it's definitely magic. Where'd they go? Where'd the bunny rabbit go?
You're answering my question with a question.
And?
How about answer my question with an answer? Where'd that space shuttle go for 2 weeks?
No, dude. I mean, I mentioned it. It was kind of. I'm not just sort of back and forth for my mic, but I'll jump back because I heard you guys. Yeah. So basically, no. So I'm just saying. Here's the thing. These men claim to get into a rocket. We do know that there's back doors, like things in case there's a fire. There's chutes that they can go down. So they could from that just alone, they could walking up with all their equipment on and the cameras and they're waving. Oh, we're going, now, and they could actually take the side chute down and not actually get into the thing, and then the thing launches. So they could be in various places, underground, Antarctica, the North Pole. Maybe there's other lands. I mean, I think surely there's lands they're hiding from us, which is part of the whole purpose for the globe deception in the first place, is to hide land. Because with the ball, there it is. That's all the land. But that's a perfect way to hide land. Is the
let's say
but the
true.
Space shuttle that went up is the one that came down. How'd they pull that off?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. So well, let me just finish. So the men,
shuttles.
We see the men waving at the cameras. They get in the thing. They claim they go, and then there's the whole thing, the launch, and the people can see it, and then the mission control, and then usually they switch to some kind of a computer graphic once it gets at altitude. So I mean, there's a point at which it gets out of our view to where anything we can verify it. So at that point, we can't really verify that thing actually went to space, did a thing, and came back in 19 days. As far as we can tell, something launched and then it's not visible, and then something else does come back down. So I mean, from the perspective of it being a magic trick or being a purposeful deception, there's a disconnect there. And just like a magician, that's why I brought that up. The idea where does the person go and it looks like they made them disappear, or all those kinds of things. So there's various ways that they could be underground, they could be on other land, they could be in other areas just kept from the public. And then when that thing launches down, all they have to do is take an airplane, take a thing up there, have the capsule, and just drop it, and with the dudes in it if they want, and make it even to that point as well. So I mean, that would be
but it's the same shuttle that launched that you can see landing.
Well, I mean, is it a replica?
Is it though? Maybe they should have two.
Yeah, they could have many.
The way they did the only way to explain the magic trick would be that they would have to have two identical shuttles with the same name.
No, because the other way is you just launch the real rocket. It ends up coming down. It comes down in the water, whatever it is, or they catch it in the air or whatever. And then no regular civilians can see it beyond there. They run the rest of the media stuff, and then when they're ready to drop it, I mean, they just launched it up and they grab it, whether they got it from the ocean or whether they can
two launches. So you either have two shuttles or two separate launches.
It would either have to be, two of them, or the one launch just does its thing, and then in a separate time, 19 days later, or whatever, however many days later, they have a military, clandestine type of airplane, but a military one, whatever it would be, and then they just drop it out. And
hey, Gio. Can I ask a question, though? So, like, do you think it's possible that they could make two ships that look the same?
Of course.
So, Gio, I don't think it's just
that's
an
what they
airplane
did?
dropping it because, you know, when the shuttle lands, it comes streaking over Texas and Louisiana, you know, thousands of miles an hour, and slowly slows down until it lands in Florida.
Yeah.
So
How'd they get it going
so
fast that it burned up in the atmosphere on the way in like a flaming ball? Just for a show for the landing. And they did a secret rocket launch that nobody saw on the whole planet.
Yeah, you know what's so wild, dude? That's the thing is that the proposition of the globe is so pathetic that we immediately reject when you start talking about, well, we went up there and went on a mission for 17 fucking days. You know what I mean? I just think that's the problem, man. It's like the idea
the
that
problem is that you are ideologically possessed by this idea that there's no globe, and therefore you have to dismiss out of hand the idea that they actually went on a space shuttle mission.
well, then, and I could in turn say, then you're, just inundated with Nazi propaganda because the Nazi machine created a rocket program that you're invested in for some reason.
Yeah, but
what we
Nazis build
do,
airplanes.
but
That doesn't mean
regardless of whatever.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like,
that
I could
insane
call you
bullshit
guys all
just said.
Nazis because you guys don't understand that your whole space program was developed by a bunch of Nazis that worked at Auschwitz and Dachau.
Isn't
And
that
so therefore,
genetic
well, no, I'm
fallacy?
just saying, like, if you're going to reject that
They
side of
did
the
not work
history,
at Auschwitz.
hold on.
I don't like this anti-German racism, sir.
Well, hey, man, I'm German. Relax. Fucking, I'm just saying that, like, if you're invested in a program that was created by Nazis meant to be used as propaganda, then you can't, you know what I mean? You can't turn around and say, aha, you don't believe us. Like, because
Well, wait, isn't that the genetic fallacy? Like looking at
literally genetic fallacy.
Yeah.
No, well, hold on, no. Then you're saying what my rejection of your rockets is a genetic fallacy because what I'm trying to say is that I'm looking at the Earth and the proposition that you're
that's
making.
what you're doing.
Like,
both of what you're saying is genetic fallacies.
Well, no, my point being is that like you're
You're saying that since this comes from Globers, I dismiss it.
And right, and you're dismissing my position. Well,
and then
yeah,
you're
I guess
also
I am
saying I dismiss it because it comes from Nazis. So you're doing two genetic fallacies.
Well, I don't know necessarily because, well, I mean, fair enough, but I don't think they're genetic fallacies. I think they're based in fucking science, like based in history and based like in a congruitive attempt to understand the patheticness of what you're proposing. You know what I mean?
Issa, what is a genetic fallacy?
What the
genetic
idea
fallacy
that,
is dismissing something
because it's from somebody,
because
it's from because like you disagree with their outlook on life or something, you're going to dismiss whatever fact they're bringing to the table. Like for instance, the Nazi.
So like saying that you know,
I'm guilty of your
rockets can't be.
I'm guilty of your genetic fallacies.
Okay.
I'll admit to that. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about that. Like, you know,
so instead of an answer, you're giving me a genetic fallacy excuse.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm pointing out the outlandishness of your proposition in light of. You could call it a genetic fallacy. I could call it, let's say.
So you're doing an argument from incredulity.
I could call it considering the source. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know.
So it's a cope.
Well, I would say yours is a cope, right?
Well, it's a cope for the fact that you don't have a good answer for where that space shuttle went for 2 weeks.
No, well, but that's a place where you could make a little concession, be like, yeah, the whole space rocketry thing was created by Nazis. You could somehow link in that maybe they were just like they had a lot of money or they were the most cutting edge guys, and it was still real. Like you don't have to change
there were
that.
A couple,
but
there
at
was
least
a handful of rocket engineers that were included in the program. It wasn't created by Nazis.
Well, I'm just saying,
it was just a handful of rocket engineers.
Wasn't like Walt Disney and like Werner von Braun together working on explaining the rocket program to people? And wasn't there a lot of cartoons made and shown to everybody?
Disney had one of the biggest film studios on the planet, so the fact that they would use him to make their video is not.
Why do they need it? But like, what does that have to? Why would they need that? Why would they need? Well, let me ask you a question. Why would a bunch of Nazis who are heavily invested in propaganda need the biggest studio in the world?
Because NASA needed the support of Congress, because NASA needs Congress to pay for what they do. So Werner von Braun went to Disney and had Disney produce some films in order to introduce it to the public and to Congress in order to try to get the funding to begin the space program.
Exactly. If they want to make a nice film about what they're doing, they send their best rocket engineer, Werner von Braun, to talk to the best film studio, Walt Disney, and then they make a nice thing.
So a bunch of Nazis who made rockets and used propaganda as their number one weapon against their own people just decided to
Werner
benefit
von Braun was
humanity.
not a propagandist. He was a rocket scientist.
He's a Nazi, right?
Yeah, in the 40s.
So there was a
50s,
propaganda wing in the Nazi party, sure.
Right.
But
Was he an
that's
SS officer?
That's like saying if Americans do propaganda, then an American rocket scientist is a propagandist.
Well, that's why there was illegal. That's why it used to be illegal to do propaganda on TV, but Obama made it legal. But like my point is just that you're relying on the idea that a bunch of propagandists who made
You're relying on this diversion to not answer my question with the space shuttle.
Well, no, I could propose that they went to Disneyland for 17
well, that
hours.
wouldn't be a reasonable
Hold on, can we kind of let each other fit? As long as we don't monologue, as long as no one monologues, can we let people finish their thoughts? Because Issa keeps getting clipped and stuff. Let's let them finish their thoughts. Let's try to keep our points concise though, because we all want to keep it flowing. All right, go ahead. He's
good with me though. You can feel free to interrupt me. I don't.
Yeah, I want to interrupt because I don't think we should be allowed. I don't think this kind of thing should be allowed to be indulged in. This is really just like a baffling, bamboozling.
What?
All right, if you guys want to have interruption fest and you're in the flow of it, go for it. Then go for it.
I think we should just get to answering the question, not doing a hijack, a dodge, a dog leg, some sort of like weird red herring.
Well, no, we're talking about okay, dude. You're saying like
I asked you about the space shuttle. Hey, there weren't even any Nazis involved in the space shuttle at all. Space shuttle, zero Nazis.
They went to how about this? They went to Disneyland for 17 days. Now what?
Can you demonstrate that?
What? Taking a fucking trip to Disneyland?
Wait, how did the space shuttle
how did the space shuttle come into the atmosphere, ripping and roaring so fast that it was on fire as it hit the atmosphere? It was coming in twice the speed of sound. How'd they do that?
I don't know. Did you watch it on TV? Do you believe everything you see on TV or what?
Do you believe it didn't happen? Do you think it's a fake?
Yeah, there's
people who watched
I don't know.
Watching the
well, no, I'm saying
all
like
the people who watched it with their telescopes and
I'm just saying I'm willing to
come into the atmosphere.
I'm willing to entertain the idea that a bunch of Nazis using propaganda tried to trick a bunch of normies. You know what I mean? I'm willing to entertain that, and I'm willing to entertain that maybe there's a fucking.
It has nothing to do with this question. You're just like taking us somewhere else, sir.
Yeah. So here's
You're talking about the Apollo program. I'm talking about the space shuttle.
We have eyewitness testimony of people watching the shuttle come in over multiple states, and then people at the landing site seeing the shuttle way up high, coming down for a landing, land, slow down, cool off, then they open it up, and lo and behold, those 7 astronauts came out. The question is, how
do you believe in fucking aliens in the wood? Fucking aliens in the woods taking rednecks and shit too?
No.
Well, then why not?
There's
witnesses.
Cope.
There's fucking. What do you mean, Cope?
I'm saying
what do you mean, Cope?
hundreds of witnesses. Hundreds of normal witnesses.
Just because your fake videos come from Walt Disney doesn't mean that fake videos made in the woods don't fucking have the same legitimacy.
All right. So we're just gonna have to accept that you have no answer for where the space shuttle went for 2 weeks.
I said fucking Walt Disneyland, bro. I said Disneyland.
Yeah,
dude.
You have no serious, not even a serious attempt at an answer.
Dude, you think shit can go? How about this?
Wait, are you telling me for sure? You mean it? You really think they went to Walt Disneyland? You telling me the truth?
I mean, I'm telling you, it's more plausible than your shit. Yeah.
So you think they went to Disneyland for 2 weeks, and then Disneyland somehow?
I mean, I'm not like 100% or nothing, but I think it's more plausible than they went to space. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you think they went to Disneyland, so I think you're lying.
Well, that's a lot of thinking for you, isn't it?
Not really.
Sure, it sounds like it.
I think that you're actually just offering me bullshit, sir.
We're just having a conversation, bro. It's like fucking 2 a.m.
Well, but it's not like a really good faith one.
If you want to accept a bunch of Nazis, all I'm saying is every now and again you got to consider maybe you're like a North Korean that thinks Kim Jong-un created that haircut. You know what I mean?
Does anybody else want to offer an answer where they think the space shuttle went for the 17 and a half days, 2.5 weeks?
Disney World?
No, anybody else besides Chucklehead?
Oh, I know where it went. Disneyland.
I know where it went.
Where?
Well, I gave my response. I mean, I said that the one plausible thing is that they launch it up. It's a real rocket that does launch up. People are not in it, so the people already took a side shoot, the guys that may have even been on the pad or whatever, and waving at the cameras. It went up there. It did launch. Once it gets out of sight, like I said, they either scoop it up when it's in the air or they let it land in the water and then they go collect it. And then they run the media stuff, like run all the media and all the images and everything else that they're going to put on the media. And then however many days later, when they claim it lands, they have another airplane that already has that thing in it, and or they have whatever other they might have another thing that they launch or whatever other effects they're going to have involved. But nonetheless, in terms of if it's one of those ones that like lands as a pod or things like that, especially back in the 60s, like when they claimed to go to the moon and stuff, yeah, that's just a separate airplane that went up there and dropped that thing. And then they use that as the media thing. So I'm not saying I have some 100% proof that all of that is the case, but I'm saying as a plausible way that this could be pulled off to where they're not actually going to space, they're just creating the two legs of it, the launch and the drop, and then using the media in the middle.
Got it. So you're just inventing a way that they could have just faked it. So you think it was just fake?
Well, you asked where did it go, so I'm giving you a plausible possibility. Yeah, but I don't have proof of it.
I hear you, Gio. I just think it's a little bit implausible that they somehow got into that vehicle when it was going so fast, because we have eyewitness testimony that people saw it sort of streaking over Texas and Louisiana and Georgia and then coming down into Florida. So we know how fast it was going. And sure enough, when it lands and the door opens, those people pop out. So the question is, how did they get into that thing going,
faster than any plane flies?
Yeah, faster than any plane flies. Exactly.
So they would have had to do a separate rocket launch the thing into orbit secretly without us knowing about that rocket launch, and then bring it back from orbital velocity into the atmosphere. So at some point they would have had to do a rocket launch. And you're saying the first one is fake and went into the ocean. The second one, they would have had to pull off a successful one in secret to fake the landing.
There's an interview on Danny Jones with this guy. I think it's like 2 interviews from his last one. But he talks about another air base over in California that is top secret that nobody knows about, that they've been allegedly shooting rockets off from since then. Since like the 60s or whatever.
All right, cool. Well, I'm getting the impression based on your answers that nobody's ever asked you guys this question before. So I think it's a good one.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, but I got to go, so it's got to be quick.
Hold on. Did they go golfing on the moon?
A guy hit a golf ball.
Like for sure, 100%.
Good answer.
Well, there's videos of it.
Yeah, I think a guy hit.
There's videos of it. There's videos of it. Can we pull one of those up?
I think a guy hit a golf ball.
You guys want to look at it again and reconsider?
Yeah, he didn't play golf. He just hit a golf ball with a golf club that he smuggled up there. So
I thought he was playing 9, bro. I thought he was playing the back 9.
Well, I've heard that before.
It was nice talking with you guys. I got to go. I'll see you later.
Later, bro.
Bye.
Yeah, that shit is ridiculous. That footage is wild.
It really is just Looney Tunes on ice, dude. Like, I don't even know what they're doing, man. It's just a joke. They're bopping around. It's such a joke. It's not even real.
I don't know how.
Like, even they don't even.
I don't know how they plan to like get like modern tech kids to accept that. You know what I mean? That's why I think like their whole thing is like, because remember the argument that gets rid of that is like, well, they just faked that, but there's really a secret space program, and they really went to the moon and they fought the aliens or some shit, and like it's like. Wow.
That's a better story. It's a better story. I mean, at least they agree it's fake AF. Of what they're
right, but that's what I'm saying. That's their way out of that fakeness, though. They're like, well, we had to fake it because the Russians. But what you don't understand is, it's fucking the Palladians are up there trying to take our resources from the moon, or whatever the fuck. It's like, just fucking read a book already.
Even Elon Musk doesn't back the moon landing anymore. He was
That's not true.
Kill Tony, who's a comedian. Elon Musk was trying to buy out his show. They were hanging out. According to Kill Tony, Elon Musk was just like, "Yeah,
I love that guy."
Didn't happen.
Tony Hinchcliffe is like one of my favorite comedians. He's so funny.
Wait, Elon said the moon landing didn't happen?
According to Tony.
Well, yeah, think of it like
he obviously knows, but yeah, I mean, he would know.
Dude, all them dudes are like, everyone who's got half a brain is fucking like intrigued with the flat Earth and the fucking fakeness of all that bullshit. I really do think that. I mean, like, think about what a great troll Elon Musk is. He's sitting there in front of a bunch of fucking retarded normies, And he's like, it's real because it looks so fake. And they're like, like, it's fucking, like, he's one of us. Like, I also actually happen to think NASA is just a bunch of psychedelic fucking, like, psychonauts from the 60s that were like, how do we fleece the government? And they were like, well, we got these computers. And they just were like, well, we'll just make these videos and we'll sell them to the government and make all these big programs and get paid billions of dollars for giving them a bunch of pictures we made on the computer. It's the greatest fucking psychedelic hippie hustle. And only normies without a clue of the world would fucking buy it. I'm convinced. It's just a
But
psychedelic Robert Anton Wilson group of fucking smart motherfuckers that tricked the federal government to pay the money. And a bunch of normies are online defending it like it's fucking real right now.
I'm not quite sure where you're getting the psychedelic connection with NASA. They seem
Dude, look up
pretty
a conversation.
they're pretty anti-psychedelic.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's the hustle, bro. That's the grift. That's the grift. Have you ever met like an old school?
I think these guys are into like other things. I don't think they don't like psychedelics. Like purge your demons. These guys are demonic.
Listen,
So
man. No. It might purge your demons, but have you ever heard of the Merry Pranksters, man? Do you not fucking know?
well,
Like,
of course,
you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
absolutely.
like the Merry Pranksters, like, would fuck up your car and think it's a joke, dude. The Merry Pranksters would pour salt in your gas tank and fucking watch you fucking struggle with your car and think it's funny. Like, it's not about releasing your demons to some people, dude. You know what I mean? So it's like a fucking, there's like that idea that like I mean, it shouldn't be that like evil kind of vein. And I don't think it was started like that. You know what I mean? But I'm saying at the same time, there's a bunch of people that are like interested, invested in real, like a lot of people that are smart realize they live around retards and then they try to hustle those retards and get their money. And that's what this is, like the greatest psychonaut fucking Merry Prankster trick. And it just got out of hand. The CIA had to get involved, and they were like, "Wait, what?" That's really what I think it was. More than remember, it's more like Mr. Bean than it is like a Greek fucking hero story. It's like it's always more like Mr. Bean than it is like the other fucking like Ocean's 11 or some shit. It's always Mr. Bean.
I hope it's both because I wouldn't want to have be without either. So I hope it'll be
Amen, bro. Amen. Of course.
Matthew, did you
That-
see the link I just posted just to reference what I said about Elon Musk?
Oh, I have no illusions that he's like a righteous guy or anything. He's sort of I would say he's basically a straight up pagan. So I see what you're saying. So Kill Tony says that he said they didn't land on the moon.
Yeah, it's not like a direct source from him, but it did seem like Kill Tony was being honest. I don't know. Obviously, it's a little weird because he's a comedian, so everything can be brushed off. But
yeah, I think that in Elon's public statements, I think it's pretty clear. I'd have to look it up because he talks about wanting to go to Mars and not go to the moon. NASA's idea is to go to the moon and talking about how they did that before. So, but I'd have to find specific quotes.
According to Kill Tony, Musk says something about how it's easier to go to Mars than it is to the moon, just because of some weird gravity phenomena, and something about the low gravity on the moon and whatnot. Right. I don't know. He kind of goes over it, but it's not a very good explanation.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, see, my thing is like, at what point do you just be like, "Wow, that seems a little ridiculous"? Like,
Well, obviously, if you think the Earth is flat and there is no such thing as space, then the whole thing is ridiculous. But
no, but that makes sense to me, though, dude. Like, because the point is that like it's like at least I tell you what, space even could make more sense in light, like even like the whole dynamic of space, like the whole outer ponder concept and all that shit. Like that's more intriguing to me in regarding to quote unquote space travel and quote unquote extra terrestrial whatever terra, extra Earth. And I just think like, what's up?
I'm just thinking, like, if we actually landed on the light face of the moon now, today, these days, would it not be sort of possible for people on the ground to shoot their telescopes up into the sky and actually watch them land? So maybe that's why they're going to avoid landing on the bright side of the moon.
It wouldn't be possible.
You can't do that with Mars, right? No one can
do that with
on
the
Mars
moon either.
Dude, with a
Why not?
P900, I mean, you'd be able to see all
1000, P1000. Yeah, kick ass.
Yeah, you could
Good.
see the moon really well. You might see some activity up there, some like reflections off of the vehicle. Like you would, I think, be able to
No, you
detect
wouldn't.
it.
It's too
That's
small.
that's why they're
Well,
not going to
it,
fake it again.
Dude,
That's why they're not
wait,
going to
wait,
do
wait,
it.
but then,
hold on, wait. There's too small, right?
Right.
Let's see. Where's that? What's that dynamic with the air? I'm trying to think of like, you know how like
The Rayleigh's criterion. You wouldn't see it unless you had a massive telescope.
Even with
yeah,
massive
you wouldn't see
telescope,
any
there's too much
reflection.
interference.
You
No,
wouldn't see any.
right.
There's another line of thought I was thinking of, but like you wouldn't see any reflection.
Yeah, you might see a point source, but you won't be able to resolve anything.
so when they land with the lunar lander, it like big puff of moon dust shoots out. You won't be able to
Well,
see
hold
that.
on.
Maybe depends how big it is.
Well, so hold on.
There we
Let's
go.
let's revisit this. Let's revisit this. Right. So it's too small for you to see. So is maybe that why I can't see the Eiffel Tower from fucking Brooklyn?
Oh,
Yes, it's the same thing. Even if the Earth were
Right.
flat
Okay. No,
and
no, no,
the
no,
air
not
was
on your
perfectly
model.
clear,
No, not on your model. On your model, it's because the Earth's in the way, and I
right?
should be able to see for fucking ever.
Right.
no,
And
But
I'm
you're telling
saying,
me I can't look over at the moon and fucking zoom in like I
I'm
do
saying,
and
I'm
see the
saying
fucking
that
activity?
even if the Earth were flat and the atmosphere were perfectly clear, I think it'd still be too small to see the Eiffel Tower from Brooklyn.
Right. That's our argument. The
Well,
atmosphere will
you're
be in the
right about
way.
that.
it's our
Yeah.
argument as well. We can't see through
No, it isn't,
thousands of
Roofy.
kilometers of atmosphere. Yes,
No,
it
it
is.
isn't. You're not allowed to have
It
it.
is.
Sorry.
Okay, you're telling me what my argument is.
Boo.
Okay,
No, you can't have it anymore. Sorry.
So, so would they not be able to like land the lunar lander? Okay, say that you can't see the big puff of dust that kicks up, right? Because it's going to kick up dust. It has to use reverse thrusters in order to land on the moon. Then the other thing is like, I mean, you kind of expect them if they were to go up there again that they would put something up there like a proper reflector, like a really bright reflector that they could like punch out, maybe roll out, unfold it, and then you could just observe the moon. You could see exactly where they landed through your telescope. That's why they're not landing on that side of the moon, man.
If they really went to the moon right now would already have like buildings and all kinds of stuff on it. If they really did go there in the 60s.
Yeah, but Jacques Cousteau went to the bottom of the ocean.
I'm not saying there would necessarily be like hotels and cities and stuff like they probably would keep it very private for the government, but just like they do Antarctica, there would already be telescopes and stations and we'd already be able to see that it's been terraformed if they actually did go there in the 60s. The fact that it's untouched and as pristine as it's been since the dawn of time, yeah, they're not doing anything with it.
But it's
That's
easier to
actually
go
what
to the
Elon
bottom
Musk
of the
does,
ocean, and we've been doing that since the 60s, and we don't have cities in the bottom of the ocean. So if that's easier, how come we don't have cities at the bottom of the ocean?
Because that's different. That's on Earth.
Right. It's hard. It's easier to have cities at the bottom of the ocean than on the moon.
Well, there are maybe cities down there. People talk about all kinds of stuff of like different layers and stuff down there, different bubbles and membranes that you can
Okay, so
go
maybe
to.
there's different bubbles and membranes on the moon, and maybe there are secret cities up there.
No, I'm just saying from the basics, like if humanity had gotten there in the 60s for real, and they did so, I mean, there weren't any deaths. Like, yeah, maybe it did cost a fair amount of money to make that rocket and whatever the tin can they put there and stuff, and whatever you want to say. But I mean, they went there. They claimed to go there quarter of a million miles back. They landed. Everything was good. If that was the case, the technology would have gotten better in 1973, 74, 75, 76, and they would have continued going back. They would have continued taking stuff there. They took those rovers up there. They drove them around and left them there. It's like, that's it, guys. Like, we just gave up on driving stuff on the moon. Why? Like, it's like the most important. It would be one of the most important things for even the future of humanity, because the moon is the main. In the globe model, the moon is like the first celestial body that in the closest thing that's surrounding the Earth. So it would be like a major pit stop to the rest of the solar system in their model, the rest of the universe. So it would be so important. So they would have kept going back, and then eventually they would have started taking materials there to build, and at least would have gotten some basic things like some telescopes, some science buildings, some like basic stuff. And then, yeah, there's a question of how much it'd be built out from there, but we would already see like a landing strip on it, and they would already have it terraformed if they actually had gone there in the 60s. There'd be no reason not to. It would be completely essential, especially for any military thing. Like you'd have to like lock it down and have only certain countries can go there probably or something, or you have it owned by everyone or whatever, because it would be like such a military advantage if there was some kind of World War thing. If like one country had the moon, I mean, yeah, you could launch stuff. So yeah, there would be all of those factors. The point is that if they really had gone there, there'd be no reason why it would have continued being expanded upon. It would be one of the most important things.
I have heard if you zoom in hard, like really with like, I forget the name of the camera, you can actually see the Nazi flag that Werner von Braun had put up there.
Oh man, that's out of control.
Well, how did they get it up there, right? It's like, where did they go for 17 days?